She thought she was just giving away her only good pair of shoes to a child in need, never realizing the man sitting quietly near the door was the CEO of the very brand she sacrificed for, and he was about to turn her whole life upside down. The sidewalk outside Sonny's diner was slick with rain, puddles catching the gray light of a tired afternoon. Inside, Maya Evans, 25, wiped down tables in her scuffed sneakers, her last pair that barely held together after months of saving every penny for rent and her little brother's school supplies. She glanced at the clock, counting down the minutes until her second shift at the gas station started. Life wasn't easy, but Maya had a stubborn kind of hope that kept her moving. Near the front window, Daniel Brooks, 39, CEO of the legendary Stride Shoe Company, sat quietly with a coffee, watching the world with the kind of detachment that came from having everything, but feeling disconnected from all of it. He wasn't there for business. He wasn't there for meetings. He just wanted to feel something real. The diner bell jingled weakly as a boy stepped inside, no older than 8, soaked to the bone, clutching a plastic bag around his bare feet. Maya's heart sank. She rushed over, ignoring the few customers who frowned at the boy's dripping clothes. "Hey, kiddo," she said, kneeling. "Where's your shoes?" The boy shrugged, embarrassed. "Lost 'em. Wasn't fast enough when they locked the shelter doors." Maya's throat tightened. She looked down at her own shoes, worn but still warm, and without hesitating, she untied them. Right there, in the middle of her shift, she peeled off her sneakers, knelt in front of him, and helped the boy slide them on. "Not brand new," she said, grinning, "but they'll get you where you need to go." The boy's face lit up like Christmas morning. She handed him a bag with some leftover sandwiches and sent him back into the rain with a hug. Daniel watched every second, stunned. No cameras, no applause, no expectations, just pure, selfless kindness from a girl who clearly had nothing extra to give. And in that moment, he made a decision. Maya Evans wasn't just any waitress. She was exactly the kind of spirit his company, and maybe his own life, desperately needed. And she had no idea. Her entire world was about to change. The rain kept falling outside, but inside Sonny's diner, Maya stood barefoot behind the counter, quietly taking orders like nothing had happened. Her socks soaked through, her feet freezing against the cracked linoleum floor. But her heart, still full. Daniel Brooks finished his coffee and pulled a card from his wallet, sleek, embossed, and instantly recognizable to anyone who followed fashion or business news. He approached the counter, clearing his throat gently. Maya turned, surprised to see the quiet man from the corner booth standing in front of her. "You gave away your shoes," he said, his voice low but steady. Maya smiled, brushing a wet strand of hair from her face. "Kid needed 'em more than me." "That was your only pair." She shrugged, embarrassed but unapologetic. "Shoes can be replaced. Some days, hope's harder to find." Daniel studied her for a long moment, something heavy and thoughtful behind his eyes. Then he placed the business card on the counter between them. Daniel Brooks, CEO, Stride Shoe Company. Maya blinked, her mouth falling open slightly. No way. Not the Stride. Not the brand she saved for months to buy just one pair years ago. The same pair she had just given away without a second thought. Before she could process it, Daniel slid a folded letter next to the card. "Come to this address tomorrow at noon. Bring nothing, just yourself." Maya stared at the card, heart hammering. "Wait, what is this?" Daniel simply smiled. "It's a new beginning." And then, before she could ask anything else, he tipped his head respectfully and disappeared into the rain. Maya stood frozen behind the counter, barefoot, trembling. Not from cold, but from the gut-deep feeling that her life was about to be rewritten, because kindness had always been her choice. Now, it was about to become her destiny. The next day, Maya stood outside a towering glass building downtown, clutching Daniel's card so tightly it was wrinkled at the edges. She wore her only decent outfit, a faded pair of jeans and an old hoodie her brother had outgrown. No makeup, no polished heels, just her, raw, real. Unsure why a billionaire CEO would even want to see her again. But she took a deep breath and pushed through the heavy doors. Inside, Daniel Brooks himself greeted her. Not a secretary, not a board member. Him. He smiled warmly and waved her into a sleek but simple meeting room. No intimidating questions, no resume demands, just 2 chairs and a folder sitting neatly on the table. Maya, he said, you don't know me, but I know your heart. And that's what matters. She stared at him, still overwhelmed. You gave away your only shoes without thinking twice. Stride started because I wanted to create something for people who needed strength, who needed hope, not just good marketing. He pushed the folder toward her. I want you to come work for us, join our community outreach team, help lead programs to get shoes and dignity to kids just like the one you helped yesterday. Maya blinked in shock. Inside the folder, a full-time offer. Salary beyond anything she had ever dreamed. Health benefits. A scholarship for her brother's education. A corporate card to travel for community projects. Her voice cracked as she spoke. But I'm just a waitress. Daniel smiled. No, Maya. You're exactly what this world needs more of. Someone who gives from the heart before counting the cost. Tears welled up, but this time they weren't from struggle. They were from hope, from finally being seen for what really mattered. And as Maya signed the papers with trembling hands, Daniel leaned back, smiling. One act of kindness, he said softly, can change a life. Turns out yours is changing more than one. And just like that, the barefoot waitress who once felt invisible was about to step into a future built entirely on the goodness she never gave up. Months later, Maya stood in front of a crowd at a school gym, surrounded by kids laughing and trying on brand new shoes they never thought they could afford. The banner behind her read, Stride Foundation, giving strength one step at a time. And at the center of it all? Maya Evans, once a broke waitress, now director of community outreach, a woman who turned a simple act of kindness into a movement. She traveled across the country, launching shoe drives, creating support programs for homeless kids, working side by side with Daniel Brooks to make sure no child ever had to choose between dignity and survival again. And everywhere she went, Maya told her story. Not to boast, not to glorify her own struggles, but to remind everyone that kindness is never small. I didn't change the world overnight, she would say, smiling gently. I just changed one moment, and sometimes that's enough to start something unstoppable. At Stride headquarters, a simple glass case sits in the lobby today. Inside it, a pair of worn, scuffed sneakers, Maya's old shoes, the ones she gave away without thinking twice. The plaque underneath reads, True strength isn't built in factories. It's built in hearts willing to give without expecting anything back. Because Maya Evans didn't just get a new job. She got a new life, a new mission. And she proved, once and for all, the smallest acts of love leave the biggest footprints on the world.